Secretary of State, Mama Cordea.
So, buenos dias, good morning. It's wonderful to be here celebrating this wonderful partnership and community involvement by both Junior Achievement and, of course, Teach for America. You know, as your Secretary of State, one of my main duties is to encourage people to be engaged with their government. And a lot of times, that's hard to do if you don't really know how to go about it. And so I hope that the State House tour that you had earlier gave you a sense of this house, which is really your house, your State House. And I hope that if it was the first time you came, it's definitely not the last, and that you come here many, many times. Because as the governor and all of my super amazing fellow electeds know, it's participation that helps us do the job that we need to do. It's, you know, when the governor puts forward really amazing shifting of priorities into early pre-K, which, you know, all of us here totally agree on. Think about what that would have done for people that you know, for yourselves, if you had had an advantage of that extra year. And what it would have helped your parents, for example, in terms of giving you a safe, warm, and educated place to go and be learning even from the very beginning. Well, that doesn't just happen because she says so. It happens because a lot of people, once she says so, then say, yeah, we want that. We want to change how our monies are being spent. And like that idea, I know that each and every one of you has ideas about what could be different in your lives. The government could have an action to. So we're going to talk a little bit more with my group when you come in. But I'm super excited to hear this morning that Mount Pleasant is going to join us as one of the schools where you're going to be voting on real ballots with real voting machines for your student government. And we're doing that so that you practice sort of what this thing voting means, and you practice on something that means something to you, where you know the people on the ballot. This is not somebody that you can't vote for. This is somebody whose vote really will matter with who you select. And it's part of our saying, we want your engagement, we want your participation. So, all right, let me wrap it up now so I grew up in Puerto Rico. And in Puerto Rico, the unemployment rate at the time when I was growing up was, believe it or not, something like 16%. So there were no jobs for high school students, pretty much. So by the time I actually had my first sort of office job, if you will, or structured job that wasn't babysitting or helping my parents, it was, I washed cars for my neighborhood, 50 cents. That was the paying rate at that time. It was working in an office that was an insurance broker that had my dad worked at a company and they were like a customer. And so that was a very common thing is who do you know, kind of like in Rhode Island and everywhere else, that might be able to give you that shot. And so I showed up in this insurance brokerage, not knowing anything about really what they did, showing up to file, to, do paper stuff that they needed me to do. And all I remembered was thinking, I don't really want this job going into the future. But it taught me a lot of really important things, like showing up on time, punching in, punching out, making sure that, once I was done with what I was doing, it was either going to be really boring because I was just going to sit there and wait for something to happen, or I could just go up to the people I was working for and say, I'm done with that now. What else could I be doing? And being constantly active made that day go much faster. So nobody told me to do that. It was just something you kind of figured out in that first job. And so that's something I encourage each and every one of you. If you're bored at something that you're doing and where you're working, have a conversation. Things can be better, but they will only be better if you are engaged, whether that be with your government or in your job.